booktube, it's Janet and I'm back with yet more book haulage. Birthday, you know, buying with one click problems. So I've found another box. There's a couple more boxes to go, so let's dive right in. So the first one I picked out of the box is The Giver by Lois Lowry. I see this book all the time on Goodreads lists and, you know, people's favourite books of all time, and I'd never heard of it. And what did put me off, and this is, you know, my complete shallowness coming through, is that the cover on the book seems to be like that old man with the beard, and it just puts me right off. So I was thrilled to find a version of it that had this cover, which is so much nicer. I haven't got a clue what it's about. I know there's a few books in the series. If you're like me, completely ignorant of this book that everybody else seems to have read, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what's on the back. Intelligence, integrity, courage, wisdom. These are the qualities of a receiver of memory must have. And one more, which can only be named but not described, the capacity to see beyond. Jonas lives safely within the community, a place where there is no war, no hunger and no pain. But when he is selected as the receiver of memory, he starts to discover dark secrets that lie beneath the surface of his perfect world. Secrets that will lead him to undertake an incredible journey. And apparently it's a major motion picture now as well. And again, it was just completely not on my radar, but I've seen it everywhere, so I thought it's time I gave it a go. It's quite it looks like it's quite a quick read as well. I think it's a YA. The next one I've got to show you again is all over the place, and I do believe it might have won one or two of this year's Goodreads Best Books of the Year categories, and this is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Again, I bought this purely because of the hype. Everyone in Shaker Heights was talking about it that summer, how Isabel, the last of the Richardson children, had finally gone around the bend and burned the house down. That appeals to me straight away. Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. Some shiny on the front, you know how I love a bit of shiny. And it says, foolish love appears to be the Rue family birthright, which casts an ominous fate for its most recent progeny, twins Ava and Henry Lavender. Henry is mute for much of his young life, and Ava in all other ways was a normal girl, except that she's born with the wings of a bird. At 16, sheltered Ava delves into her family's past and ventures into the wider world, ill-prepared for what she might discover and naive to the twisted motives of others. Others, like the pious Nathaniel Sorrows, what a fabulous name, who mistakes Ava for an angel and whose obsession with her grows until Ava's quest and her family's saga build to a dark and heartbreaking crescendo. Then we've got Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I know a lot of people have read this. I've read Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which I really enjoyed, and then earlier this year I read Eleanor and Park, which was not remotely what I expected it to be and absolutely blew me away and loved it. So I just thought I need more Rainbow Rowell, so I asked for this for my birthday and it was in my birthday box, and I'm not going to read what's on the back, I'm just going to read it, and if it's like the other ones, I'm going to love it. Next, I've got Lydia, the Wild Girl of Pride and Prejudice by Natasha Ferrant. And it's got beautiful bonnets on the front. It's a gorgeous book. And it has French flaps. And that's what it looks like inside. What else do you need to know about it? It's beautiful. It's something to do with Pride and Prejudice. Next, I have got At the Edge of the Orchard by Tracy Chevalier. In the inhospitable black swamp of Ohio, the good enough family are barely scratching out a living. Life there is harsh, tempered only by the apples they grow for eating, and for the cider that dulls their pain. Oh, I do love a bit of cider. Hot-headed Sadie and buttoned-up James are a poor match, and Robert and his sister Martha can only watch helplessly as their parents tear each other apart. One particularly vicious fight sends Robert out alone across America, far from his sister, to seek his fortune among the mighty redwoods and the sequoias of Gold Rush, California. But even across a continent, he can feel the pull of family loyalties. I have got A Conclave by Robert Harris. I've heard a lot of good things about this. I believe it is all about choosing a pope. So I was sort of fascinated by that straight off, all that sort of strange secrecy that goes on. And it just says, behind the locked doors of the Sistine Chapel, 118 cardinals are meeting in conclave to cast their votes in the world's most secretive election. They are holy men, but they are ambitious and they are rivals. Over the next 72 hours, one of them will become the most powerful spiritual figure on earth. Love it. It just seems like, you know, it's going to be full of plot and intrigue, probably a lot of bit of fighting and nastiness thrown in. And then I found this book that I showed you in one of my previous videos, I bought the second one, and this is the first one, and this is A Study in Scarlet Women by Sherry Thomas. It's like she's like a female version of Sherlock Holmes. And I've got The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. I think this was all over BookTube last year, and it's Alaska 1970. Ruth wants to be remembered, Dora wishes she was invisible, Alice can't bring herself to leave, Hank is running away. 4 very different lives are about to become entangled. The next one along in the Parasol Protectorate series, I think there's 5 of these. I think this is number 3, and this is Blameless by Gail Carriger, and it's a novel of vampires, werewolves and afternoon tea. This is steampunk, and I really enjoy them. Next, I've got book 2 and book 3 in the Red Rising trilogy, because I've had number 1 on my shelves for ages, but I've still not read it. But I thought, well, while I was reading along, it would be quite nice to have the next 2 in the series in case I do start it, because, you know, if I'm sticking to the rules of shelf slam, I won't be able to buy the next 2. So I've got Morning Star and Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I don't know anything about these books or this series. I've just bought it purely on the recommendations of BookTube, so and I trust your judgment implicitly, so I know that when I do get around to it, I'm probably going to love them. Then I've got the next one in my beloved 44 Scotland Street series by Alexander McCall Smith, and this one is The Bertie Project, and Bertie is my most favourite child character in books ever. Poor Bertie. He lives with his mother Irene, and he is subject to the Bertie Project, where she makes him take saxophone lessons and learn Italian and go to see a psychoanalyst, and she takes him to yoga and the flotation tank, when basically all he wants to do is just be like a normal boy enjoying the cubs. So yeah, I love this series of books. Then also got the next one in the Grantchester series by James Runcie, and this is Sydney Chambers and the Persistence of Love. These are absolutely beautiful books. I've got all the other books in the series, and this is about number 4 and number 5, and I've not read any of them yet. And I haven't even watched the TV series yet. So I do need to get around to them, but because I've got all the others in these beautiful hardback editions, I have to get the hardback because it looks nice on the shelf, doesn't it? You know, I don't say I'm shallow for nothing. And this is the last one in this particular box, but we ain't finished yet. This is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and again, this has been all over BookTube, and this is the letter of a black father to his son, and I believe it's amazing. What I did find in my box, which I'll show you because it's not a book, but what my husband got me, and I was quite amazed really, because, you know, men, they never listen. And I was chunnering on to him when we were driving somewhere, and obviously, you know, approaching quite definite serious middle age, if not the upper end of middle age, my interests in life have changed, and I've started to become interested in natural history and birds in particular. And where I live, we get a lot of garden birds. We hear owls hooting in the night. We live right near a water park where there's loads of water birds, and I'm fascinated by them, but I know absolutely nothing about them, and I don't know which is which. And so I was chunnering on to him saying, oh, do you know, I'm going to get myself some binoculars so I can look at the birds, and you know, I know what they are. And lo and behold, I got some binoculars, and yeah, I was amazed. He listened. Usually I have to provide a list and he just buys off the list. But yeah, this was a fabulous surprise. He did good. So I've put all those away now. Sorry for the lighting in here. It looks a bit mellow and a bit golden. It's actually the evening I'm filming because, you know, been at work all day. The shelves are starting to get seriously double stacked. Over there you can probably see. You'll see them building up as I do a box. So first of all I've got to show you, and I did buy this myself, is Princess Jellyfish. And this is by Akiko Higashimura, and this is manga, and this is one I bought purely on Eleanor from Eleanor Reads Books recommendation. Not read any manga yet, although I have got Death Note as well. And so I'm loving graphic novels, so this is the next step. Just take the delivery note out. Tsukimi Kurishita has a strange fascination with jellyfish. She's loved them from a young age and has carried that love with her to a new life in the big city of Tokyo. There she resides in a safe haven for girl geeks who regularly gush over a range of things, from trains to Japanese dolls. However, a chance meeting at a pet shop has Tsukimi crossing paths with one of the things that the residents have been desperately trying to avoid. A beautiful and fashionable woman. But there's much more to this woman than her trendy clothes. This odd encounter is the only beginning of a new and unexpected path for Tsukimi and her friends. Next, I've got Volume 3 in I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. These are just an absolute riot. Loads of fun. There's Paul Gert. Bless her. She's not the sharpest tool in the box. She wished to go into fairyland. She's been stuck there for 30 odd years, stuck in the body of like a 3-year-old. She can't figure her way out. And it's full of snot and blood and gore, but it's just fun. Next up, I've got 3 books that are really important to me. My daughter, who's away at university doing a master's degree, very proud, she gets my complete love of reading and books, and so she's decided that for Mother's Day and birthdays and Christmas, she's going to add to my beautiful sort of shelves up there and get me the Penguin English cloth-bound editions of my favourite novels. And so for my birthday, I got 3 beautiful Jane Austens. So the first one I've got to show you is Persuasion. Which is stunning, and Persuasion is right up there with Pride and Prejudice, vying for top place as my favourite Jane Austen. And I think it's not sort of in the big league of Jane Austen books, but I absolutely loved it. I love Anne Elliot. I love that restrained sort of self-control that she has. And this is just, obviously, they're just beautiful books. Yeah, an absolute pleasure to have. And obviously they're making lovely memories for me, because I'll keep them forever, and no doubt when I'm all crumbly and gone, then my daughter can have them and we can connect. The next one I've got to show you is Sense and Sensibility. Again, absolutely beautiful. And then I've got Emma to show you, which I read earlier this year. And it was the last Jane Austen that I had to read. I've now read them all. Very sad, because I kept putting off reading Emma because I didn't want to get to the end of my Jane Austen. But yeah, I have read it, loved it. Wasn't my favourite, but it's up there, you know, it's Jane Austen, she's just fab. Next, I've got the 3rd in the illustrated Harry Potter books. And this is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, with, obviously, by J.K. Rowling. Do I need to tell you that? And the illustrations are by Jim Kay. That is the front of it. I have to confess, I've only read the first 3 Harry Potter books, and that has only been something recent. I have got the other 4 on my shelves, but these books are beautiful. This is just like, look at that. And obviously I've mentioned how I'm getting seriously into birds and wildlife. They are just absolute joys to look at. They're just beautiful things to have. Next, I have got Invictus by Ryan Groudin. This is a book that Eleanor got me for one of my Shelf Slam books. Farway McCarthy is a time traveller with nowhere to call home and nothing to anchor him to the present. Far captains a crew on a dangerous mission into the past. When he collides with Elliot, a mysterious, secretive girl whose very appearance raises questions about time itself, Far immediately distrusts her. But he must make a leap of faith, following Elliot on a race against time to protect everything he's ever loved from disappearing forever. Then I've got Wonder Woman by Leigh Bardugo. I've heard great things about, and I've also heard that the film's pretty good as well, so kind of would quite like to read the book before the film. Next, I've got Wires and Nerves Volume 1 in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, and this is these are the Lunar Chronicles on the backs, Cinder Scarlet and Cress, and book 4 is Winter, which I've not read yet because it's a massive book and it's over 400 pages, and obviously I've got this ridiculous fear of reading books that are big, but I love the Lunar Chronicles, should read it. So this one I think is a graphic novel of Cinder, and I think there's going to be a different one for each of the books, and so I absolutely loved them, so I thought, well, I'll give that a go. Next I've got, I think it was my last video where I showed you the second one in the Shauna Maguire trilogy, because I think the 3rd one's out next year, and this is Every Heart a Doorway. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this, so I'm not going to read the back. They're quite small books, so obviously they're probably those books that you just devour in one sitting if they're, you know, they're as good as they say they are. Then I've got a thriller, and this is a gorgeous gold book. Look at that. Good Me, Bad Me. Who wrote that? Ali Land. I think Eleanor got me this again, and I can't remember if she got it me as one of my Shelf Slam books or as my birthday present. Can't remember. Annie's mother is a serial killer. Well, that's it. That's enough for me. The only way Annie can make it stop is to hand her into the police. But out of sight is not out of mind. The secrets of her past won't let her sleep, even with her new family name, Millie. As a team of experts prepare Millie to face her mother at trial, she must confront her past, a fresh start. Now surely she can be whoever she wants to be, but Millie's mother is a serial killer, and blood is thicker than water. No wonder I put that on my wish list. It sounds fab. And this is one that I bought myself when I met up with Eleanor to discuss our plans for Shelf Slam next year. And obviously we had to do a little shop, didn't we? And this is Worlds of Ink and Shadow by Lena Coakley. And this is a novel of the Brontes. I love all things Bronte. In fact, I only live about an hour away from Haworth, and it's somewhere we go to as often as possible and stay over in the Haworth Old Hall. And you can go around the parsonage, and yeah, I love all things Bronte. So I haven't read what it's about because the fact that it's about the Brontes was enough for me, and so I'm not going to read the back. But yeah, so I just got a stash of graphic novels to show you as well. So I've got Descender Volume 4, and I've got Paper Girls, and this is Brian K. Vaughan. Don't know anything about it, but I think, does he write Saga, Brian K. Vaughan? I love Saga, so I thought, well, I'll give this series a go. Then I've got Deadly Class, and this is by Rick Remender. No idea what this one's about, but it looks good, so I thought I'd give it a go. And then I've got Bloodstain Volume 3 by Linda Sedgwick. I love this series. This is Dr. Vlad Stein on the front, and the main character, and I can't remember her name, took a job as his assistant, and her overactive imagination has sort of turned into some like freaky Dracula, Dr. Frankenstein thing, and it's quite funny and irreverent because he's not what you think. And yeah, so I really love this series. I've forgotten I got all these, isn't it great? I thoroughly recommend. Get all your birthday presents, pack them up in a box, put them away for about 8 weeks, and then open them again, and it's like your birthday all over again. It's great. Next, I've got This Is Going to Hurt, The Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. Quite interested to see what's this. Obviously, I have some sort of connection to this kind of life, so I'm quite keen to see if any of it is, you know, kind of close to home. And I've got Little Deaths by Emma Flint. I think that lady on the front, I don't know what you think, doesn't she look like Nigella Lawson? Or is it just me? But she does look Nigella-y, doesn't she? Anyway, I'll tell you what it says on the back. Mother. New York, 1965. One hot July morning, Ruth Malone wakes to discover her 2 young children are missing. After a desperate search, the police make a horrifying discovery. Mistress. It's every mother's worst nightmare, but Ruth Malone is not like other mothers. Her perfect makeup, provocative clothing, drinking habits, and a string of affairs arouse suspicion. Murderer. Tabloid reporter Pete Wanicki at first believes the neighbourhood gossip, but as his fascination with Ruth blooms into obsession, he learns that there are 2 sides to every story. Normally, stories about kids going missing, I think, ugh, they don't really do it for me, but I kind of like the idea of all the other threads that are going on around this, so quite keen to read it. This book I bought myself. It goes along with the present that my husband got me, and this is the Collins Guide, the Collins Complete Guide to British Birds, because now I've got my binoculars, I can start to look up the birds that I spot through them. So yeah, I know I'm becoming old and crumbly and really boring and turning into Bill Oddie, but I'm just like fascinated. So that's the next one. Next we have got, are you still with me? Still with me, BookTube, after all this time? You've done well to hang on in there. I've got La Rose by Louise Erdrich, and this is late summer, North Dakota, 1999. Landro Iron stalks a deer along the edge of the property bordering his own. He shoots with confidence, but only when he staggers closer does he realise he's killed his neighbour's son. Horrified at what he's done, Landro turns to an Ojibwe tribe tradition for guidance and finds a way forward. Following an ancient means of retribution, he and his wife will give their son La Rose to the bereaved parents of the boy they killed. Our son will be yours now they tell him. Next I've got is the Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. Beautiful, rich, mysterious. The Roanoke girls seem to have it all, but there's a dark truth about them that's never spoken. Every girl either runs away or dies. Lane is one of the lucky ones. When she was 15, over one long hot summer at her grandparents' estate in rural Kansas, she found out what it really means to be a Roanoke girl. Lane ran far and fast, until 10 years later when her cousin Allegra goes missing and Lane has no choice but to go back. She is a Roanoke girl. Is she strong enough to escape a second time? Why would you go there if you know that's what happens to people? Then I've got Dangerous Crossing by Rachel Reese. England, September 1939. Lily Shepherd boards a cruise liner for a new life in Australia and is plunged into a world of cocktails, jazz and glamorous friends. Oh, what a shame. But as the sun beats down, poisonous secrets begin to surface. Suddenly Lily finds herself trapped with nowhere to go. Australia, 6 weeks later, the world is at war, the cruise liner docks, and a beautiful young woman is escorted onto dry land in handcuffs. What has she done? This book is one of the books I got when I was having my little meet-up with Eleanor, and I was very much drawn in by the cover. And this is Miss Jane by Brad Watson. Look at that. Gorgeous. Tells us the story of Jane Chisholm, born in early 20th century rural Mississippi, with a birth defect that will stand in the way of the central uses for a woman in that time and place, sex and marriage. Yet the world of Miss Jane Chisholm is anything but barren. From the country doctor who adopts her and the hard tactile labour of farm life, from the sensual world of nature around her to the boy who loves but is forced to leave her. The quiet dignity of Miss Jane's life is nothing short of an act of triumph, not only over those who would shun her, but even her limitations of her own body. That sounds like, yeah, you just go, Jane. I'm going to stop here at this point because I think it's become quite long. And there is more to go. We'll have another one after this. See you all soon. Bye.